Hey guys, welcome back. So in the last episode I put some screenshots at the end of the video, which I'll do this week, but you may have seen that this what I'm doing now, putting these kind of borders around the path areas, was in the screenshots, and that wasn't actually something I'd already done. So I'm just quickly doing that here. I have actually taken my screenshots for the, it wasn't something I wanted to do, or something I didn't think of to do, and now I think it's a nice idea to include them at the end, so I've gone back to take screenshots to add into the videos, and some of the areas that I have built are already finished. So some of the screenshots are actually a bit more finished and finalized as you see in the videos. So I've just quickly popped down this flat ride, which is a chair swing. It was a nice little addition to this area. I'm trying to make the base of the ride actually kind of custom. I've done that by adding path covers yet again. Just trying to figure out here the kind of base to make it equal all the way around. And then a cool little thing I figured out is if you use a path cover and you put it over something that you don't want anymore, and you colour it to be a roughly like a green colour to match the grass, then it kind of somewhat hides that bit like I'm doing just here. So I think that's a nice little thing to do, just to make the base of the rides a bit different, so they're not all just square. So I'm just finishing up the area with going around the edge of the path just to make them look a bit more neat. Then I shall add in the foliage, and when I've done that I shall talk to you when I start the next attraction for the park, which is going to be a giant log flume. So I'll speak to you then.
Yes, the thrill is gone, gone to stay. Baby,
put a spell on you.
I'll quickly just mention, here's a little trick that I've discovered, or I think I heard it from someone, I can't remember who. I read it on a forum. If you dig in the ground, put your trees in, and then rise the ground up, it then kind of sinks the trees into the ground, so they kind of become more of like a bush. Or if you want the smaller, just to make the foliage of different kind of heights. It's a really nice thing to do, and it's really easy just to dig that hole using the Terra tool. So just thought I'd quickly talk about that. I have done it in a couple of the previous episodes, but I mean sometimes it's quite quick for you to see. Right, so here we go onto this log flume. This is going to be like a really classic log flume, maybe by Aerodynamics. I think the park, if it was in the kind of 80s, 90s, I definitely want to have some attractions that you would see would be from that era of the park. I think the roller coaster that I've already built and this log flume maybe would be some of the attractions that the park would already have before some of the newer attractions that would be built. So I think it's nice to give the park a somewhat of a realistic ride line-up in terms of history, as well as the designs of each ride. I don't think you should always have the biggest and the best roller coasters in a park. Obviously it's nice if you're going to do a dream park, but if you're going to go for a realistic park, I think it's cool to really give the park that variety of rides that a real park would have, because not every best park in the world has the best rides. Even Cedar Point has, you know, some classic Arrow coasters in there, like the Iron Dragon, the suspended one, or the Corkscrew, a classic corkscrew coaster, as well as an old Woody, Blue Streak. So I think it's nice to try and keep your lineup realistic. So I'm just going to do the lift supports for the log flume. These I'm using the hanger set and some custom the custom beams from the dining set. I looked at quite a lot of references for this online, looking at different log flumes, especially Aerodynamics log flumes. They tend to have like a frame structure holding up the lifts, and then the rest of the track for the log flume is kind of supported by your normal kind of pillar support, and they're all kind of joined up. So I'm just going to try and imitate that as much as I can. I would love to have been able to put catwalks around the whole log flume. I think that's quite a thing sometimes, but I've just done what I can with the catwalks, as they're not able to go around the whole thing. Also, another thing that I thought would be really cool to add is like a water pump for the top of each bit. So there'll be like a tube going up where the water will come through up a pipe and then come out the top to make the water go down the first drop. So I'm just adding like some sort of like a generator pump thing there at the top, putting the pipe down the middle, and then making a thing at the bottom where the water would come in. Just again, these little things that I'm trying to think of, just to add that extra detail in there. And I have to say, this is probably one of the best log flumes I've made in terms of realism. Not really like a pro at log flumes or anything like that, but when I finished this one, which I have already finished, I was pretty chuffed with it, and I think it really did turn out exactly kind of how I imagined it. So I'm just going to do each of the lifts now in the way I did the first one, using that kind of structured support. This log flume has in total 3 lift hills, which I think is kind of normal for a log flume to have more than 1 or 2. I always find building things on the diagonal a bit more tricky than doing it on the straight grid. I think it's really cool when things are in diagonal. It just gives it that extra element of different angles in the part. You don't want everything to be on the right angles. So to have diagonal things always really mixes it up and gives a better perspective. Just always a bit of a pain to build, because some of the pieces you want to use maybe don't come in diagonal. So I just use the bushes there to get rid of the supports, as I sometimes do. If not, I use the support killer from Shy Guy's 3 set. But the bushes I think are really a nice way. If you want to also have foliage around the bottom, then you might as well just use the bushes. Just randomly popping in some supports, just to kind of, I'm making them equal around the thing. Also in realistic kind of places. I thought it was nice there to have like a pathway going underneath there. This I intend to be a shortcut to the back of the park. So if you want to cut there from the main street, then you can just quickly nip up under there, under the log flume. So this was a cool little thing I tried to play around with, is adding like a mechanism kind of thing for the bottom of the conveyor lift there. I wouldn't say it was greatly realistic or functional, but it looks like what it's supposed to be.
Change your heart.
Right, now I'm just going to quickly do the last lift hill, again using the same supports. I love the picker tool for selecting pieces of scenery you've already used, so then you don't have to go back into the scenery menu and search for the piece you want. I think that was a really cool thing they added in. That was something I wish they had in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 when I played that, because the amount of times I used to search through the scenery, especially with all the custom scenery stuff that you could download, that took a long time. So it's really cool that you can just use the picker and pick the stuff you've already used. There was many times in Tycoon 3 where I'd forget what I'd done or what set the piece came from. In Parkitect though, I haven't really got that many mod sets. I kind of use the same 4 or 5 as I spoke about earlier on in one of the first couple episodes. I think having a few but good ones is always good. You don't want too many, otherwise it does get a bit confusing of what you've used, and also if people do want to download your park, but they have to download say like 50 different mod sets, it gets a bit annoying. I think I use about, I don't know, 10 or 11. I have the odd flat ride as well, downloaded from the Nexus website. So now I'm going to try and join up all the supports with like a structural beam, just using like a border from Shy Guy's set 3? Nope, 1, set 1. It's quite hard to do the diagonals and the corners, but I think I kind of made it work in the end. Again, just adding another one of those water pumps for the lift, for the top, to make the water flow along those high areas. and making another lift mechanism. I only did it for those 2 lifts because they were on the grid. The diagonal lift was kind of impossible to do, so I just kind of left it out. I'm just going to make a quick access area for the stuff, and this will be like a fenced off backstage area around there as well, which would be easily accessible for like maintenance, so to speak. I think it's looking good so far. I really want to make the bottom of this drop here a bit more pizzazz-like. I'm going to add rocks. I was really kind of hoping to have like some sort of waterfall feature things I could add down the bottom there, but there isn't really anything like that. So then I was trying to come up with different ideas, and I thought maybe I could use pieces of log flume and set them into the rocks. So that is something that I experiment with in a second, and it does kind of work. I was using the track edit tool a little bit to try and get the piece exactly where I wanted it to go, and when you do use the track edit piece, the water actually disappears, but when you close the park and reopen it again, the water appears. So one of them, as you'll see in a second, does look a bit strange. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I really enjoyed building this log flume. It did take quite a long time, but I think the final results are pretty cool. It's not quite finished. I do have some things to add. I shall save it for the next episode with doing the queue line and the station and that kind of thing. But the basic kind of log flume is down now in the park. If you want to follow me on Twitter, the link to it is down below. It's at coaster_b, and I do actually post a lot of preview stuff on there with future projects or things I'm working on or experiments. If you want to check out some screenshots of that kind of thing, then follow me. Thanks for watching this episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Again, any questions are welcome down below, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.